Well, good day, viewers. We have a 2009 Lexus RX350 today. It's here for an oil leak. It was bleeding to death on the way into the shop. I had to put 3 liters of oil into to bring it up to the ad mark. This car's been self-undercoating, as you can see. It's leaking around the oil filter assembly, so I predict it's going to be the oil cooler, one of the oil cooler hoses that's ruptured. They get brittle with age and they just fail all of a sudden. So once you get the plastic covers off of everything, you can see up inside here and you can see what's actually failed. This oil cooler line is what mainline engine oil pressure running through these 2 hoses, and this bottom hose is split. The factory hoses are neoprene and they fail. So the aftermarket has come up with a better replacement with a stainless steel piece that fits in here. So we've ordered that. Hopefully we'll get it overnight. It's got to come out of Winnipeg. I've changed at least one of these before. The bad thing is if you don't catch it, you run it out of engine oil and destroy the engine. Like I said, I put 3 liters in it to bring it up to the ad mark. So it holds 6, so it was down about 4. And I did drive it in and there was no noises coming out of it. So hopefully it's going to be okay. So there's the aftermarket replacement. It's stainless steel with convoluted stainless steel tubing. Much better repair, in my opinion, than that neoprene hose that's going to fail eventually. So we got the part this morning, 625-022, and this is a all stainless steel convoluted pipe in place of the neoprene hose that will fail. I've done one of these once before and it seemed to work out pretty good. I'm sure this is going to last longer than that hose would. Mind you, the hose would probably last the life of the vehicle now at this point in its age. So we're going to get together, get this up in the air and change this out. So if you disconnect the little bracket for the O2 sensor connector, there's a little 10 mil bolt right here. Take that off, tuck it down off to the side, disconnect the O2 sensor. There's 2 12 millimeter nuts and 1 12 millimeter bolt on either side of this thing. So small 1/4 inch drive, long flex headed ratchet works good to get them out. You can bend this little metal retainer for the harness. Just push it off to the side about 1/4 inch to gain access to that 1 bolt. This one here might be a challenge. Maybe we can push this up slightly. Yeah. And take off the 2 bolts, or 2 nuts and 2 bolts. 4 nuts and 2 bolts and it should come out. So I found it necessary to take out the 2 studs here from this one and this one because the pipe has to come straight this way and down at the same time, and it can't do that. So these are E8 headed inverted Torx. So you can take the 2 studs out, then the pipe can come straight forward. That's especially necessary because the new pipe is rigid or semi-rigid. Now there's gaskets on here we need to take off. And then we need to clean the gasket surface, make sure that it's nice and clean. And reverse the procedure to install. Clean this surface up here. So there's the new pipe installed. Attach this end and loosely start the nuts and bolts. Slide the gasket in between and put the studs in. Start the 2 studs, bottom the studs, and then put the bolts in. I'm not sure what the torque is, probably about 18 foot-pounds because they're 8 mil bolts. But it's pretty hard to get a torque wrench in there. I tightened them up with a long 1/4 inch drive ratchet, so I'm sure I didn't over torque them. And clean it off with some brake cleans, and I'm going to start it and run it, and there's enough oil in it that I can check it for leaks, and then I'm going to do an oil change. Start out with a fresh oil change here. So here's the old pipe. I'm going to put some air pressure to it to see if I can see where it was leaking. I've got a rubber tip nozzle here that almost fits this, and I'm going to plug, I think it was this hose here, so that's this one, and I'll plug this end off and see if you can see any come out. Oh yeah, there's the whole thing right there. there. There's a pinhole in it right there. Well, that's typical of these things. They just fail. They get aged. This rubber hose, hard as rock. You see that pinhole there? I don't know if you can buy these pieces of hose from the dealer. I don't think so, but I think this repair is much better with this stainless steel one-piece pipe assembly. So having a look underneath this vehicle, this guy rust checked his truck with this oil leak all the way to the back suspension. Oh, he's got a little height sensor link busted off here. Yeah, all the way to the tailpipe. Look, oil hanging on the tow hook here. I don't think you get that good a rust check service when you go in for an actual rust check. Anyways, I'm going to wipe off the excess, but just consider it free undercoating. So we're checking the block heater here, and you can see if I hold the cord just the right way, it works. Like that. It's broken right in here. A lot of people don't realize when they leave this cord hanging out in front of the car like this, it's doing this going down the highway. So it's just a matter of time before it's going to break off. So we're going to cut this end off and put a new end on here. And I'm going to route it up on top so that it can be put in for the summertime. So I use these Leviton universal cable ends. I fill the plug with silicone, black silicone, before I assemble it finally, and that keeps the salt water from accumulating in it and corroding and potentially giving you a shock when you go to plug it in. And it's got to dry, obviously, but we can try it now. So it should show good now, as it does. Outlet device. Good to go. So this 2009 Lexus, the customer asked me after the fact, why is my AFS light flashing on the dash? And I believe that has to do with automatic headlights. You can see the AFS message. Now there is a button to cancel it down here. And that button was depressed, but that doesn't make the light flash. And I understand this has turning headlights, so they turn left and right. So we're going to scan it and see if there's any codes. So let's have a look at this. It automatically detected the vehicle. Now the battery was dead when I went to bring this vehicle in the shop. For whatever reason, I assumed the guy had left the four-way flashers on or something. Let's do a code scan and see what comes up. Nothing in the engine, nothing in the transmission, nothing in cruise control. Tilt telescopic steering. Adaptive front lighting, height control sensor. Oh, you know what? That's probably related to that broken height sensor in the back. Isn't that special? Heating and air conditioning, solar sensor circuit. Well, I'll just double check, because remember I did notice this height sensor linkage was broken. Well, on the previous inspection, when I was looking underneath this, I saw this link broken, and I never assumed that this would cause a problem. That's left-hand thread. That's a turnbuckle, that's left-hand thread. So this is seized, this ball and socket is seized. That's why it started flexing this and broke it off. But we'll take it off and see if we can do something with it. Well, it came off okay, but like I said, this is left and right hand thread, so it acts like a turnbuckle because it's an adjustment. We're going to measure the distance between these two jam nuts because that's how long a rod we want to put in there. But I don't have a piece of left hand thread 6mm ready rod. Now we could re-thread it with right hand thread and put it together with just a piece of ready rod and 2 jam nuts, as long as we maintain the same distance. There's probably some kind of adjustment for the height of this thing or calibration, but I'm sure if we put it back with the height adjustment at that distance between these 2 jam nuts, we'll be good enough. So I got the ball and socket freed up here so that it moves nice and smooth now. And I found a piece of 6mm ready rod. Now there was left-hand thread. I just ran a thread a tap in there and cut the threads the other direction. So basically you can adjust its length by threading it on. I measured the distance between the 2 nuts, and I'm going to put it back in the same position. So there it is installed. As you can see, it's nice and free now. I adjusted the distance between the 2 nuts to what it was originally and reattached it. This is an E14 nut on the back here, so you'll need a E socket to get that off. So now we'll let it down and clear the fault code out of it. So I'm going to clear all the codes read by the code scan. Key is on, engine's not running. Shouldn't take very long. I see the EPC or AFS, sorry EPC, AFS light is no longer flashing. And that was in adaptive front lighting. Codes only, current. No codes, cool. So that's fixed now. Kind of AFS off indicator, drive leveling motor, drive swivel motor right hand, drive swivel motor left hand. So these headlights turn with the steering wheel if AFS is on. Kind of like Tucker designed back when he did, if you've ever seen the movie Tucker. He had that in his idea. Headlights should turn with the steering wheel. Of course, this is a little bit more high tech, but same idea. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.